Hey guys, it's Heather, and I have a question for you today. Are you a yarn snob? Do you only like buying hand-dyed yarn? Do you like using superwash merino that has been speckled to the high heavens and looks like a unicorn smile? Or do you like purchasing yarn from Hobby Lobby and Michael's and what is the other store? Joann's? Like Lion Brand cupcake yarn. What's your poison? I am somewhere in the middle. I adore hand-dyed yarns. Adore it. Here's 3 examples I have today. I just love these colors. I love it. But I also understand the need for people to be able to purchase store-bought yarn. Completely understand that. As a almost hippie, I prefer to knit with cotton. I don't prefer animal or plastic yarn. Sorry for the shaking. I love hand-dyed yarns. I love the uniqueness of it. I love the way the finished product looks. There's just something about making a shirt out of something like this that is busy and exciting, and every row is different. There's something about it. And then there's also something to be said for knowing what's coming next. Comfort. I think that a yarn like this is comfortable to people because they know what's coming next. And yarn like this, you do not know what's coming next. It's exciting. So, are you a yarn snob? Do you prefer to buy hand-dyed yarn from small shops on Etsy? Do you prefer to buy hand-spun yarn, even more expensive? Okay, so here's my thought on this. If you can afford to only purchase yarn at stores like Michael's, purchase yarn at stores like Michael's. If you can afford to go out and buy hand-dyed yarns and you want to do that, go buy it. Look at this. This is a gorgeous yarn. And it's mine, and I love it. And I'll always have this yarn because this is a forever skein. I'm not sure if you know what a forever skein is, but this is my forever skein because it is made for me. It was dyed for me. This is a For Heather yarn, and it's mine, and I will always have it. The dyer actually dyed the skein specifically for me in a yarn swap, and I love it, and I will hold on to it for as long as I can. I also love the feel sometimes of the authentic sheep feel. Brooklyn Tweed Loft yarn. This is a very authentic yarn feel. Like, this is what sweaters was made with back in the olden days. It feels like petting a sheep. That's what it feels like. It's an amazing feel. Like, there's nothing bad about this yarn. However, in comparison, this yarn from Brooklyn Tweed has 275 yards. 275 yards. It is a finger and weight yarn. I mean, it's a thick finger and weight. It's a thick finger and weight, but it has 275 yards, and it costs $16.50. That's a lot for one hank of yarn. This Lion Brand cupcake yarn has 590 yards in it, and it costs $3.79 on Amazon. That's a big difference. A lot of people cannot afford to buy hand-dyed yarns, and I completely understand that. Completely understand that, because if my husband knew how much I spent on yarn, he'd probably like me. So there's that. But you can also get really expensive yarn from stores that also carry cheaper yarn. For example, this Mayflower's Shine yarn came from Hobie, and this ran pretty expensive. It might have been $29 full price, and I got it for cheaper because it was on sale. But it's gorgeous, and when you see a yarn like this, you know, it's hard to pass up. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to make with this. It looked good. It'd look really good as a shawl, but I don't wear shawls. So for now, it'll sit on my shelf until I come up with a project for it. So my question was, are you a yarn snob? Do you prefer what they consider quality over quantity? Or are you somewhere in between? Excuse me. I am somewhere in between. Like I said, I prefer cotton yarn. I will always gravitate towards cotton yarn because as an almost hippie, I don't like plastic. I don't like plastic in anything. I would prefer it if there was no plastic waste at all. Because I recently saw a quote, everything that's ever been made of plastic is still here. It doesn't disintegrate. It doesn't go anywhere. So it's a sad thought that every single plastic thing that's ever been invented, created, made is still floating around on this planet. And we're constantly making new plastic things. So that sucks. But that's not what we're here about. We're here about yarn today. So if I could afford, I am so sorry guys. I seem to have a frog or a lizard in my throat. If I could afford to buy all high quality hand-dyed yarns, I don't know that I would. Because there will always be a time and a place for yarn that sparkles. That's odd. I brought 2 sparkly yarns as examples. I'm going to knit a sweater with this for my sister. She is a vegan. She cannot and will not use yarns that are made from animals. And she will use acrylic yarn, which to me doesn't make much sense because acrylic yarn is plastic and that's not good for the environment. But, you know, to each their own. So there will always be a time and a place for acrylic yarn, and I also believe there will always be a time and a place for cotton yarn. So I am somewhere in the middle, leaning towards snob, because cotton yarn can be very expensive if you buy high quality cotton yarn, and I do tend to buy higher quality cotton because I prefer that. So you will notice that on this channel I will buy acrylic yarn. I will always buy acrylic yarn because I cannot afford to buy only hand-dyed yarns. Even in a dream world, I can't afford it. My husband would, you know, have a cow. I will always be purchasing, when I purchase yarn, cotton, and I will purchase wool, and I will purchase acrylic. And sometimes I'll even purchase alpaca, and I even have yarn that has possum in it. Get that. Possum yarn, guys. I have that. I would like to know, are you a yarn snob? Do you prefer quality over quantity? Let me know in the comments below. Are you a connoisseur of hand-dyed yarns, or do you stick to big box stores? Let me know. Let me know what your favorite brand of yarn is down below. I'm always interested in yarn. There's no wrong answer when it comes to yarn. I guess option C in this is, if it's yarn, I want it. That's me. If it's yarn, I'll take it. I love yarn. And I think you all do too. That's why you're here. So I hope everybody has a great day. And I will see you all very soon. Okay, guys? Keep it real. Peace.